Welcome to the Intuitive Hour with psychic medium, author, and intuitive life coach, Michelle Beltran. The Intuitive Hour will empower you to learn how to magnify your intuitive voice. Listen in and expand your understanding of what it means to be psychic and how to awaken, amplify, and trust your inner voice.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is the Intuitive Hour. Awaken your inner voice. It's a pleasure to have you all here with me again today. Okay, we are talking about how to tell the difference between psychic messages and mere thoughts. This is a really popular topic, I notice, so I thought I'd put it on the air today for all of us to learn from. So, is it this or is it that when it comes to a psychic message or a mere thought? Intuitive and psychic messages are different than a thought. And as your ability grows, you will absolutely be able to tell the difference between the two. So let's talk a little bit here about how to get started and some tips to help you in that. The first thing to consider is this. As your left brain, your logical left brain is in motion and thinking, your conscious mind is doing all the work. Your conscious mind and thoughts are one. This is a conscious thought and you are one with it. You can think of it that way. You might even find yourself overtaken by it. A real good example may be when you're organizing an event and all the surrounding details regarding that event, the plan to attend it in the coming weeks. That's a very left brain oriented thought space. You're in plan organization momentum. However, when you're receiving psychic information, your all-knowing consciousness is at work, your right brain. Sometimes we refer to this as our subconscious. In this space, you're an active observer of whatever is presenting in much the same way you observe the floating in and out of information, perhaps at the beginning of meditation or just as you drop into dream space. You're more of an observer. Or as you watch an event unravel, but are disengaged from it emotionally. As an observer of the information, you're not creating it as you do in your thinking, logical mind space. So to enhance your intuition, I would ask that you focus on seeing yourself separate from anything that comes in. Resist temptation to interpret. Just look from the outside in. Again, the best way that I can explain this is to just be the observer. Messages of psychic and intuitive inspiration come from essentially nowhere. They drop in, they're spontaneous feeling, and they most often have very little to do with what you're thinking about in the given moment. Rather, they're gentle and they find you. Psychic information and insights are also of a very high vibrational frequency, and they will transcend ego. So if you notice low vibration thoughts of fear, worry, doubt, or self-sabotage, as you tune into this ability, you are not connected with your right brain higher knowing. Also, it may take time to understand the messages that you do receive. Please understand this is okay. Let the knowing come when it's ready to. Make friends with that concept. All right, let's talk a little bit about psychic information and messages and their specific characteristics. Psychic information, impressions, images, or even your senses that you're using, they are void of ego. As I mentioned, they're gentle and natural in nature, almost as if they just float in effortlessly to you. You may notice they are also without emotion. They may seem even impersonal or unbiased. This is a key signature element of psychic information. Again, they are typically void of emotion. They are most certainly neutral feeling in nature. And psychic thoughts and downloads usually are without this intensity of emotion. And so keep in mind that this is what causes us to actually miss them. What is unique, though, about psychic messages is that there is a very deep-seated back-end sense of certainty, ease, calm, and peace that does accompany them. And so, to that extent, we have an internal and natural knowing of their validity. Psychic information can repeat. We'll talk about this further in the rule of 3 in a few moments. And they might even seem silly to our left brain at times. If you find yourself saying, "Oh, that's just ridiculous. That couldn't possibly be," then this is a good indication to you to take a closer look. Psychic thoughts may come in randomly, scattered, unconnected to anything going on around us presently, or again, we might find them as seeming ridiculous. That said, you know you are experiencing psychic insight because the information will feel like it's coming from a higher knowing or consciousness. You might also then notice a feeling of being very compelled to put that inspiration into fruition by taking action. All right, some characteristics now about thoughts and when we are not receiving psychic information. So, thoughts we receive that are not psychic in nature, we actually call mental noise. They are remnants and aspects of the interpretive function of our left brain. The left brain is entirely at work here, telling you what the sensory information is and often jumping right to conclusions. For example, I might say Eiffel Tower, and instantly you begin imagining it. So your left brain right in this moment is now working at coming to a conclusion of what it thinks the Eiffel Tower looks like. That's the power of the left brain, jumping to conclusion. When you do that, you know you're in thought and you are not receiving psychic information. Okay, so thoughts and left brain interpretation data are actually a mix of memories, suggestions, imaginations, and guesses generated by our conscious waking mind. That definition is provided by one of my teachers, Dr. Paul H. Smith, a remote viewer formerly assigned to the military's Stargate program. This is his definition of it, and I absolutely echo and support it. This kind of information is exactly what makes psychic perception difficult and distorts accurate information coming in. This word mental noise, as a bit of a history for you, is actually a very well-known remote viewing term coined by Ingo Swann, the father and creator of controlled remote viewing. We know that the most accurate psychics have actually learned to master the ability to quiet this left brain or mental noise, also known as our thoughts. Okay, so just a few more characteristics, specific characteristics to let you know you're in your left brain and you're not receiving psychic information. Okay, number one, the image or the information that you're getting will present one after the other in a linear way, meaning one thought after another and then another thought. This is the way our left brain works. Linearly, one thought connected to another, a string of thoughts. Okay, second, if you find yourself in the act of hesitating and or saying, hmm, or any kind of word or phrase like this that creates some hesitancy, then in most cases, the very next thing will be left brain non-psychic information. The reason is because the action of that hesitation, however it comes forward in word or just hesitating in and of itself, means thought is coming next. You are contemplating, you are thinking. It's an aspect of that planning. So these mentioned verbal expressions, or they are precursors to receiving left brain information. They are telling you the left brain is at work and a logical process is happening. Remember, right brain data is random, gentle, it finds you, and it drops in with no aforethought. Okay, moving on. Number 3. Left brain thought can and often does evoke emotion. Right brain thought will be void of it. Number 4. Left brain thought is often nothing new to us, and it reinforces what we actually already know or believe or expect to be true. And finally, if it's from the left brain, we usually aren't surprised at all by it, nor is there any originality to the information. Okay, how does psychic information present? I've been asked this a number of times. Essentially, it comes in 2 ways: consciously and subconsciously. Psychic information can present in inspired ideas, dreams, through automatic writing, while drawing or playing a musical instrument even. Very often, these messages present while in meditation or while giving or receiving intuitive or psychic readings. Again, this comes in 2 ways though, consciously and subconsciously. Consciously, meaning messages from your psychic ability may present like a gut feeling. You just sense that you know something, yet you don't know how. In these moments, when a gut feeling has presented, you are often consciously aware of messages, so it can come this way. It can also come subconsciously. Speakers, authors, artists naturally use their gifts of intuition while in the depths of creating. So you may find that you're consciously or unconsciously tapping into the divine mind for creativity and inspiration. Both ways are fine. Okay, let's take some time here to reflect on your own psychic download or experience. If you would, think back now and consider the past few days. Was there a moment where messages of psychic insight may have been trying to present to you? Let that memory come in now. Don't look for it, by the way. Don't search for it. Just let it find you. That memory, when you may have been trying, a download may have been trying to come in. Perhaps you had a feeling someone you had not seen for some time would call, and then they did. Perhaps you found yourself saying, "I knew it," surrounding an event or incident of some kind. Was there an inner knowing or decision that you made that turned out to be right? Did the perfect words or artistic creation come to you at just the right moment with a feeling of exuberance or excitement? Perhaps out of what seemed like nowhere, you received an inspired idea that resolved a particular issue of importance. Each of these events would be a clear example of times when you were actually receiving psychic guidance, whether you knew it or not. All right, let's take a moment now to talk about the rule of three. I mentioned that earlier in our episode. This is something rather important to consider and very meaningful as you navigate your day and tune in to what are psychic messages or just mere thought. So when you're receiving an intuitive message, if the message comes in 3 times, then it's probably psychic related or your intuitive self trying to just tell you something, get your attention. In essence, your soul speaking to you. Do listen. As a simple example, regarding how this may work, let's say you're deciding whether to draw an eagle or lion for that special art class, art assignment you were given. You just enrolled in, you're really excited to do this, and you're absolutely torn because you have such an affinity for both of these gorgeous animals, and you want to do a really good job and push yourself on this assignment. So you're just sort of torn on which one to do, which one to draw. Over the next 24 hours, you've seen an eagle present in some fashion. By outright pure happenstance or even strange coincidence, you find yourself saying. For example, you've seen an eagle on the cover of a magazine while sitting in the waiting room for your doctor's appointment, or on a poster in the window storefront as you walk by on your way to lunch. Or a friend mentions an eagle's nest they found on a hike recently. So you get these influxes of this eagle over the short period of time, or you get at least 3. You want to listen. Listen up, pay attention at these times. If you get a message of 3, that's your indication that the message is psychic or intuitive guidance. Okay? The rule of 3, very powerful tip here you want to begin using daily. All right, then, let's go ahead and segue into what I call 10 steps for psychic thought exercise. You'll want to try this exercise to help you better discern and understand thoughts from your own thoughts. All right, so 10 steps. Number 1, think of a question you would like to receive a psychic insight about. Write it down in one clear and succinct sentence. Number 3, write down any expectations, desires, worries, fears, even possibilities and potentials or any other information that comes to mind about this question. Step 4. As you're ready to receive the psychic guidance, be in a seated, comfortable position with your bare feet on the ground. Breathe in and breathe out a few times. Then ask all tension or to-dos of the day, concerns and what have you, to leave. Make an agreement with your left brain that you're going to come back to all the importance of life's daily ongoings when you're done. Next, ask this question that you have out loud as you continue to breathe in and breathe out in a relaxed fashion. Give notice now to any thoughts that present. Remember, you are seeking emotion-free, simple, clear, and concise information that comes to you and naturally floats in. Once you've received the psychic information, write it down. Next, go back to your breath and give attention here. Breathe in and breathe out. And here at this point, you may want to learn more about the psychic information you just got. By then, asking yet another specific question about it. Yes, you can do that. You can interrogate, so to speak. You can question the information that you got for more information. For example, you get a message or an inspiration or an image of a heart that is broken in two after you ask a question about a relationship, but you don't understand what that means. So you then say to that image, "Show me more about what you mean," or "Show me the next steps about what you mean. I need more information." Okay, so then you'll want to continue to write down these psychic messages and thoughts as they present. You'll reach a point of knowing that you've received all that you're needing to at this time. When you get to that point of knowing, come to a close. Set the information aside. And then the next day, or at least several hours later, come back to the information and give particular notice to any of those insights or aha moments that may have surfaced. Very often in the moments or the moments after we've done an exercise like this, we don't get the depth of the understanding and meaning. So setting it aside is essential for at least some time. All right, regarding this exercise, you want to resist the temptation to make sense again of the meaning of the psychic messages if you don't understand them. Don't try too hard. It's going to come in time. It's just essential that you allow the psychic thoughts and messages space and time to evolve and make themselves known to you with clarity. Okay, in summary today, everyone, just a few more thoughts on navigating psychic messages. Understand that psychic thoughts are not always straightforward, and this can seem confusing. When this happens, you get a sensation of confusion or you don't have clarity or you don't understand. Your psychic skills are not lacking. Please don't leap to that assumption. We truly don't always grasp or make sense of psychic information right away. It does take time, and it's not always straightforward. This is actually a sign to you, If you are in a little bit of confusion or unknown space, it's a sign to you that the information actually is psychic. So try meditation on the thought as opposed to rationally understanding it. Be in a meditative, sort of lucid, open space of understanding as you go forward, asking for clarity. The knowing of the messages will come in time. Once you set the intention to receive psychic information, you will receive it. Know that it will come in a divine time that is not always your time. There's no need to rush this. Usually, that divine time happens when we have let it go. We've released it and we're not thinking about it. And we have moved on, essentially, to other things, something else that is distracting us. This distraction is good, and it helps us release the waiting or the holding on tight energy of an answer we are fixated on or attached to. So go get busy doing something to quiet your left brain thinking mind. Distract yourself with what you love to do, what makes you grin ear to ear. Take your mind away from it. The psychic message and answer will naturally slip right in. All right, everyone, a wonderful episode today. I hope you've found this helpful. If you'd like to learn more about how to connect deeply with your higher power or messages, of course, tune in every Monday here with us at the Intuitive Hour. You might also consider checking out my courses or beginning psychic and mediumship development programs. Fairly soon here in the next few weeks, we're launching a pure online psychic development program for beginners I think all of you would enjoy. Please be sure you're on our newsletter, and you can access that at michellebeltran.com. Otherwise, it's been a wonderful episode. I look forward to seeing you all next week.
Thanks for listening to the Intuitive Hour with Michelle Beltran. If you like what you heard, please share our podcast with a friend. And be sure to visit michellebeltran.com to get Michelle's popular Develop Your Clairvoyance ebook.